Okay, so a while back I did a data storage tutorial that was incredibly bad. I tried doing it the other day. For some reason, it didn't work. I did follow everything perfectly fine. So today I am going to be doing an updated version so that you can actually get a working data storage, or simple data storage, inside of your game. So, no building will be required, luckily. However, when you make your place, make sure that in games settings here, click security, and then enable studio access to API services. If you do not enable this, then you do not get to use data storages. So you'll get a bunch of errors, make sure you enable that. Now, let's start. Go ahead and insert that script and call it data handler. So we'll make sure we insert this into subscript service, subscript, and data handler, or whatever you want to call it. First of all, let's define our services that we're going to need. Just need two. That is local players. Equals to game, get service players. And local data, there's a new one here. Data store service. Which equals to game, get service, data store service. No globals, but some values here. Now, we just need to, this is important here, and that is creating an actual data store. So we're just going to call this example data store. You can call this whatever you want, but this is basically going to be what your data store is called. And then go ahead and just do data store service get data store. And in the speech marks here, just name it whatever you want. Just make sure these match for obvious reasons. Well, they don't have to. Now, what's important is that if I change the name, all data in that previous data store will not exist. Well, it will exist. However, you're going to change to a new data store, so the data will be wiped, sort of. But you can get it back by just changing back to the old data store, so remember that. Okay. Now let's get into the actual code. So, start off by putting a player added function, which is players dot player added connect function, and then in the brackets here, player. Now, what we're going to do is basically set up a leader stats. So we're going to do local leader stats equals to instance.new folder, comma, player. And then leader stats.name equals to lowercase l leader stats. If you do not put a lowercase l, you will not see a leaderboard on the top right hand side of the screen right here. Okay. Now the next things are what the values are you want to save, or whatever your stuff is in your game. So let's say you have, like, I don't know, gems and cash. So that's what we're going to put. But usually it's like, what, money and XP. So for example, I put local cash equals to instance.new, either int value or number value, cash.name equals to cash.value. So we don't actually need to set this. It's easier if we don't, because the default is actually 0. But if you really want to, it is easy just to put cash.value, because then you can change it later on. And then we're going to put local gems equals to instance.new, again, int value, comma, leader stats, and then gems.name equals to gems. So that is our leader stats set up, but we need to save them. So we're going to start by doing local key equals to, this is completely optional, but it is so much more organized, and that is player underscore, and then concatenate, so dot outside of the speech marks here, and just put player dot user ID. So we'll do player underscore and then whatever the user ID is. Okay, now we're going to actually save the data. Or sorry, load the data. So local data and then local success, comma, response equals to pcall and then function. Just a blank function here. Okay, and then we're going to put data, and then we're going to set data to example data store or whatever your data store is, colon get async, and then just put key. Okay, perfect. So we're not done yet because we do need to put a few more bits underneath, and that is if success and data. So if we have a success and we've successfully set data, then we're just going to set the values. So cache dot value equals to data in square brackets 1, which gets the first item of the data table, which we're going to set up later. And then gems dot value equals to data square brackets 2, which is the second item. Now, it's important, if your cache is put as this on the second line of your table, then you need to make sure this is 2. But because I'm going to put mine on the first line, I'm going to set it to 1. So this is looking at the first object in the table, or first line. Okay? Otherwise, if it was neither, so if there was no success, we can find data, then we're just going to print data could not be found for, and then we're just going to put, or you could just say data not found, but I just prefer to do this. Okay, and that is literally everything for our player added function. Next up, we're going to make a function here, but it's not going to be connected directly. We're actually going to make a standalone function. So, function save data, and then we're just going to pass through the player. Okay. So, now we're going to also define the key. So, first of all, I'm going to define the key. Okay, and then next, we're going to make up the data table. So, remember, this is what we're looking through. So, we're going to put player dot leader stats dot cache dot value and then semicolon. That is now the first object in the table. Second object here, gems, so player dot leader stats dot gems dot value semicolon, and then that is the second object in the table. Now remember to put the semicolons on, otherwise it will, well, hate you. Okay, so now we're going to do another pcall underneath, which is success, comma, response, which equals to pcall function, blank function. And we're not going to set anything, we're not going to grab the data, we're just going to set the data now. So, example data store, set async, key, comma, important you put that comma there, data table. So when we then pull the information up here from the player, we're looking for that player, so this is now saving that specific data table under this specific key. So we look for that key, then we see this data table saved, and then we look inside the data table that we have set as data, and then we set cache and gems. And like we did in the other one, we also need to do if statement just below. So if success, then I'm going to print successfully save data for, again, key. Else, just go ahead and warn response. So we have a function here now. We don't have anything calling it, so now we need to call it. So, pretty simple. We're just going to do players dot player removing connect function player. So we're going to get player from when they remove, and then we're just going to put save data here, and then in the brackets player. So then we can define player, and then below we're going to do game bind to close, which covers shutdowns basically and anything that's not directly leaving the game, so it's out of the player's control. Okay, we're just going to put blank bind to close there, but make sure to put function here, and then we're going to do for, so we're going to do for loop here, so for underscore comma player in players get players, which, so as you can see here, we're looping through every player inside of players. And we're just going to save data. That's pretty much everything. And I'm going to have to, we can't test this in the studio, but it should work. So let's go ahead, let's jump into an actual game and go ahead and test it. Okay, so as you can see, we are just in the normal game here. And if you want to set the values just from the console, all you've got to do is click F9, or you can just type /console. Sorry, let's spell it right. /console, and it'll bring up console. Or you can't actually type in that one. Oh no, you can. So just go ahead and click on up in the top, and as you can see, data could not be found since I have no data. So let's go get some. So we're going to do game.players, just in this little typing bar down here, dot Amanda17, or whatever your username is, and it needs to be exact. And then we're going to do dot leaderstats, dot cache, dot value, plus equals to 150. And then I'm also just going to go ahead and set gems. Oh. Yeah, gems 250. If we look at the leaderboard now, I now have 150 cash and 50 gems. So when I rejoin, I should have exactly the same amount. So let's go ahead and let me quickly rejoin. Okay, I am back in, and as you can see, I have exactly the same amount. So there you go. That is also, well, that's pretty much how to make a data storage. So, and just to prove my theory, just to prove my script, we're just going to go ahead and go to server again, and we're just going to add an extra 150. And then if I shut down the server now, okay, shut down all servers. Let me just wait for that. Okay, that didn't seem to work, but if I kick myself instead, so we'll just do game.players.number17 kick. I can't play the game. and then rejoin, again, I still have the same data. So, that is everything, guys. Thank you for watching. Again, as with most tutorials, as with all tutorials, if you have any questions, let me know below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.